Cars 2 is truly a one-of-a-kind movie. Where else would you find a scene with a talking tow truck strapped to a bomb next to a fake electric car and the Queen of England, who's also there for some reason? The countdown on the bomb was set to 3 minutes and 48 seconds, and after timing it like the giga nerd I am, I found that it took 4 minutes and 54 seconds for it to reach 0. Mater really got an extra minute to convince Miles Axelrod to say one word instead of the scene being accurate and looking like,
"This ain't nothing at all like radiator spraying."
Mater, just cut to the chase.
Okay, it's hit.
Believe it or not, this is still one of the more accurate countdowns you'd find in movies. Out of the 15 I looked at for this video, some are way worse. But why even have a countdown? Countdowns in movies are made for dumb people, like me. When a movie is really intense, you want something to show that, right? Now you could do that by playing some intense music or show visual trauma. Yeah, like I could understand any of that. What I can understand is a timer that, when it reaches 0, blows up the face of the earth and every famous actor who stands on it. A countdown could be to anything. It could be to a rocket launch or to the start of a race. But let's be honest, it's probably going to be until a bomb goes off. In fact, it's probably going to be towards the end of an action movie with the main character being a very manly man. He will probably be stuck somewhere when the timer is activated, and if it were to go off, he would probably not only lose his life, but also someone he loves very dearly. In the end, he will probably cancel it at the very last second and then say some powerful line like,
"Houston, you have a problem. You see, I promised my little girl that I'd be coming home. Now, I don't know what you people are doing down there, but we got a hole to dig up here."
And I say this with a bigger focus on pro than bubbly, because it really is the most common way to use it. A good example of this would be from Mission Impossible Fallout. Tom Cruise is the manly man who needs to defuse 2 bombs set to go off in 15 minutes that will blow up his 2 buddies, his ex-wife, his current fling, and a bunch of civilians all in one boom. He then has to battle Superman, not the current Superman, but the one who really likes Warhammer. That happens on a helicopter, on the same helicopter rotated 90 degrees, and on top of a mountain. While this happens, the people he's trying to save are locating the bombs on the ground, which is hard, and this guy almost chokes. But they do it, they find both bombs, and Tommy Boy has to hit the fuse before they cut the wires, which just so happens to occur on the last second.
One now.
A last second that occurs 22 minutes and 26 seconds after the 15-minute countdown started. If you would ask the director of Mission Impossible why it took 22 minutes for a 15-minute countdown to reach 0, he would probably say, well, you see, these are parallel scenes, so that this scene and this scene are actually happening during the same time, so it adds up for the characters. The same goes for if a countdown is longer than in real life. Yes, that happens too. The director would probably say that the scenes are spread out during the countdown. They're not happening right after each other. And while I can't exactly prove them wrong, they are some very annoying answers. Maybe for Tom Cruise that scene took 15 minutes on the dot, but to the viewer, those extra 7 minutes are really going to leave a mark on the experience. There's also a big possibility that movies make countdowns longer just to make it more interesting. In the case of Cars 2, it's very tempting to take that almost 4-minute countdown and stretch it to 5 minutes of screen time, because viewers will feel like it's a bit more urgent than it actually is. It's like if you have a 2-minute countdown, people will think that, well shit, I gotta lock in now, it's super intense. In reality, it might take 15 minutes for it to go off, but if you were honest with that, people would sit back, relax, and wonder why Tom Cruise is so stressed, because he's clearly got plenty of time. But let's say you'd want the countdown to be perfectly in sync with reality. Okay, great, say bye-bye to your hairline, because you're balding during this process. First of all, you'd need to time how long every line would take to say, and you don't know how the actors will say them. Will it be an vengeance? Or will it be more of an vengeance? You have no idea about that, and a full countdown is going to feature quite a lot of lines. After that, you also have the problem of everything that isn't someone speaking, but instead staring into the distance, grunting from fights, or driving a nice car. Every scene that's just kind of there has to be timed and ready to perfection. If someone turns around half a second too early, oof, we gotta rewind that, boys, do it again, we need one more. It would be very difficult and awkward. The vibes on set would go downhill pretty quickly. But let's say you have the best case scenario. Every actor knows their cue down to the nanosecond, and every shot is just as you imagined. And then you end up with a timer of 4 minutes and 47 seconds. That's not a very sexy number. It would be much better if it was 5 minutes instead. Ain't no villain on the planet that would start a countdown of 4 minutes and 47 seconds, but 5 minutes though? Woo. So now what? Most of the scenes I watched have round numbers as their countdowns, but you're 13 seconds short, and we need to fix that. I got an idea though. Hey, you there, we're just gonna make your stare into the abyss scene a bit longer, ain't nothing to worry about. And maybe after that, some asshole says they're gonna cut another scene because a small child was seen in the background. We missed you, brother. Stand right there. Do not take your eyes off the target. We need to be in sync with the countdown, okay? So how accurate were these 15 countdowns? Well, now it's time for the result. So I've got this project on Google Sheets where I've collected all of the data, and it's honestly my greatest piece of work. I just need to write where the countdown starts, ends, and how long it is, and then I get all the other cool things Google Sheets has to offer. So if any of this is severely wrong, blame Google Sheets. Only 7 out of 15 countdowns were longer in real life, which was surprising. I don't really get why you would make it shorter, because if anything, it just makes it feel less urgent than it is. On average though, a countdown seems to take 56% longer to reach 0 than it should. The average length for a countdown was 10 minutes, so if Google Sheets hasn't let me down completely, the most basic countdown ever would look like this. It's 10 minutes long, but with some movie magic and directors dragging it out to make it more exciting, it would take 15 minutes and 38 seconds to go off. One of my favorite countdown scenes was the one in The Peacemaker. Not because it was that good, but because it did not make sense in my head. This guy starts a countdown of 40 minutes until a bomb goes off in his backpack, and our favorite actors Nicole Kidman and George Clooney have to prevent that, and they really mess up, but that doesn't matter. What does matter is that if you ever wanted to make a countdown on time, this would be the best opportunity. Between the timer starting and the bomb going off, every scene is just kind of them running around, so it's not like every second is all too important. You could make it go off on time, but instead they ended up being 47% short. 47% is pretty shameful in itself, but when that is 19 minutes in the direction that makes it feel less urgent, oh boy. You could listen to Bohemian Rhapsody 4 times during that and still have time to get to another mama. But it was the countdown in Independence Day that was the most off percentage wise, and frankly, I'm pretty impressed by how wrong they got it. Two guys are trying to blow up an alien ship, so they plan to bomb with a countdown to have time to escape. It was set to 30 seconds and went off in no less than a minute and 36 seconds. Now adding a minute isn't bad, but in my Google Sheets document, this one really stood out for the solid 220% added. They really took the timer and went, let's make it over 3 times as long on screen, we got time for that. The countdown closest to reality was actually in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, which I did not expect. I didn't think a movie starring Tom Cruise and Harley Quinn called Mission Impossible would ever pay attention to something like that, but during a 5-minute countdown they only added 8 seconds, so hats off to them. The only timer that beat that was my timer. What you have been seeing throughout the title cards is a countdown of my own. That's right, it's mine. Unlike the other amateur movies, this one is perfectly on time, and oh boy am I excited for it to go off.